Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody joins us now. Attorney General, thanks for joining us. You were never alerted by this. You told me in the break that's not unusual. So what is unusual about this?
Well, this is unprecedented by the FBI to raid a former president's home, someone that was making noise about potentially running again against a current sitting president. I can tell you, as a former prosecutor and judge myself, this tactic seemed overwhelming in terms of what was actually being disputed or sought in terms of the documents. And I think that's shocked the nation. I don't care what political party you're from, seeing an FBI contingent raid a former president's home put everyone on alert. Is the administration, or is the DOJ particularly weaponizing a criminal investigation to suppress political opposition? And I think it's incumbent upon this president, this is no time in the history of our nation to cower behind a cough. Come out, speak with the American people, assure them that the DOJ and the FBI particularly is not being weaponized, or assure them that you will direct the Department of Justice to explain why this overwhelming tactic was used. I think it's important to the strength and stability of this nation.
All right, here's what the White House said. We did not have notice of the reported action and would refer you to the Justice Department for any information. They did go through Melania's wardrobe. They spent hours there. I don't know if they were shopping or searching. FBI agents scoured her wardrobe. They also looked through a storage unit. Some people sense that there was somebody on the inside of the Trump team that told them where to go. And can you actually raid an apartment because you took archives? Or do you think that this could be part of helping an investigation, for example, Letitia James in New York, helping an investigation the January 6th, helping the investigation of the Georgia investigation? So could all this stuff be the center, and could they be farming things out left and right to these other investigations?
Well, presumably, the copy of the warrant would have left the charges that were backed up or that the affidavit supported in the search warrant. That would have had to have been left at the residence, along with an inventory of what was taken. That will be generalized, of course, however many boxes, miscellaneous documents. But I think what is important and what everyone should know is yesterday, when the White House came out in the first press briefing after this raid took place, 5 reporters asked different ways, 12 questions regarding whether the DOJ or the FBI were being weaponized to suppress political opposition, and the question was never answered. It was even put just yes or no. That's unacceptable. At this moment in time, we need someone to come out, assure the American public we are not some, dictatorship. We are not a nation that is going to suppress political opposition. We're going to assure that our institutions of criminal investigation remain independent and fair. And that was not done. And I think that was a huge missed opportunity.
Right. If they're not dropping illegal immigrants into Jacksonville in the middle of the night without telling you, they're raiding a former president's house in your state without telling you. The federal government's got to communicate, I would think. Attorney General Moody, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson tonight.